Our apartment was small, barely enough space for 4 of us and our 3 cats. My bedroom sat right across from the front door, and if you stepped inside and turned left, you'd see the living room and kitchen mashed together. To the right, a closet. Straight ahead, my door. Past the kitchen, a narrow hallway led to my mom's room. Everything else was back there. I always thought the place felt cramped, but safe. My bed was shoved up against the window, and the fire escape ran right outside. Not ideal, but it was the only way to fit everything. That summer, my asthma had been acting up, so we broke the rules and stuck an old AC unit in the window. It was the only way I could get any sleep when the heat clung to everything. It was a Friday, right at the start of the school year, still warm, sticky, not quite fall yet. Fridays meant I could stay up late, so I came home, dropped my backpack, and did some homework. My older brother was at work, so it was just me, my mom, and my little brother, Amir. By 4, I was in my mom's room, helping Amir with his tablet while she watched TV. By the time it got dark, Amir was curled up on the bed, glued to his screen. My mom and I watched some old sitcom reruns. The apartment was quiet, except for the hum of the AC and the city outside. I remember thinking how normal everything felt. It must have been somewhere between 9 and 11 when my mom got up to heat leftovers in the kitchen. I heard her pause in the hallway. There was a weird shuffling sound coming from my room, soft but not quite right. She hesitated, probably thinking it was one of the cats. But then she glanced at the cat tree. 2 of our cats were there, and the 3rd was curled up with me and Amir. That left nothing to blame for the noise. I could hear the confusion in her voice. She didn't call out, just stood there, listening. Then came a loud bang, sharp, like something heavy hitting the floor. My mom opened my bedroom door. I couldn't see her, but her voice was low, almost flat. She said, "You can't stay here." For a second, I thought she was joking. She'd always tease me about ghosts because the light by the front door flickered. But there was something in her tone that made my stomach twist. She kept repeating herself, not laughing, not even moving. I sat up, suddenly alert, and Amir looked up from his tablet. I could feel the fear in my mom's voice, the way she kept saying, "You can't stay. You can't stay here." My mom called my name, her voice tight, asking me to bring something, anything. I grabbed a hammer from the junk drawer and a broom, hands shaking so bad I almost dropped them. When I got to my room, I saw her. A woman, pale, exhausted, dark circles under her eyes. She was halfway through my window, one bare foot on my bed, one leg still dangling outside. She clutched a metal pole, and my AC unit lay on the floor beside a pile of my makeup and random stuff she'd knocked over. Everything felt wrong, like I'd stepped into someone else's nightmare.
"Please let me stay. My mom just died and my girlfriend left me. I have nowhere to go. Please let me stay."
My mom didn't flinch. She told the woman she couldn't stay, her voice like stone. She even said, "So what? My mom's dead too." The words sounded strange, almost unreal. I started throwing whatever I could grab. My old makeup case, a shoe, anything. The woman shielded herself, but she wouldn't let go of the pole. She kept begging, voice cracking. But my mom just kept blocking her, repeating that she had to leave. Finally, after what felt like forever, the woman dropped down onto the fire escape. My mom yanked the pole from my broken bed frame and jammed it across the window, pressing it tight so nothing could push through. I was shaking so hard I could barely stand. My mom grabbed her phone and called the police. I could barely breathe, my heart hammering in my chest. I kept glancing at the window, half expecting to see that pale face pressed against the glass. When the police finally showed up, I was still clutching the hammer. They took the pole my mom had used to block the window, wrapping it in an old shirt for fingerprints. I watched their flashlights sweep over my scattered things, the AC unit still on the floor. Later, my mom told me she saw the woman in the hallway, being led away by the police. She'd tried to break into the apartment above us, too. One of the officers said she'd been hitting places through the fire escapes for weeks. Neither of us slept. We sat in the living room, talking until the sky started to lighten. My mom admitted that another neighbor had warned her about a woman breaking in through the fire escapes, but she hadn't believed it. Now she kept asking herself how many times someone had tried our window before. She wondered if that explained the random food going missing, or why the cats would get spooked for no reason. Maybe that's why my makeup sometimes vanished, or why Amir's toys ended up outside the window. It made the apartment feel different, like it belonged to someone else too. Now, every night, and every time we leave to visit family, we wedge that pole in the window. Sometimes I double-check, even when I know it's secure. I bought blackout curtains too, thick ones that don't let any light or shadows through. If you live in a place like mine, put something in your window. Lock it, block it, cover it up. You never really know who's out there, or how many times they've tried before you noticed. Now, when the apartment goes quiet at night, I still listen for footsteps on the fire escape. I tell myself it's just the wind, or a neighbor, or nothing at all. But I always check the window, just in case. The morning started like any other. I was 9, my brother was 12, and we were supposed to head to our aunt's for lunch. My mom never liked us being home alone, even if it was just for a few hours. We got up late, around 10:30. I took my shower first, then my brother. The air was still heavy with steam when we brushed our teeth together. Both of us half awake, not really talking. That's when we heard knocking at the front door. Not loud, just steady. My brother and I froze, toothbrushes still in our mouths. We didn't answer. Usually it was salespeople or someone from a church. My brother whispered that we should just wait it out. So we stood there, listening to the knocking echo down the hall. After a couple minutes, I crept to the window. The street outside was empty. No one at the door, no cars idling. I felt my shoulders drop. Relief for a second. We went back to getting ready. Then, through the blurry glass of the bathroom window, a shadow slid by, slow. Not like a bird or a branch, but thicker, like someone moving close to the wall. We stared, not moving. Then a palm slammed flat against the glass. The shape was distorted. Fingers splayed, the whole thing warped by the frosted pain. My stomach dropped. My brother's hands shook as he reached for his phone. He dialed the police, whispering so quietly I could barely hear. I locked the bathroom door, my heart pounding so hard it hurt. Then the banging started. Not at the bathroom, but at the main door. Heavy, desperate, like someone was throwing their whole weight against it. My brother whispered into the phone, his voice barely a breath. He told them our address, said we were locked in the bathroom, and begged them to come quickly. I pressed my back to the cold tile, knees to my chest. Every bang at the door made my ribs ache. My brother searched for something to defend us with. His fingers closed around a heavy metal rod that had been left behind the toilet. There was a final, splintering crack. The front door gave way. The house filled with a new, ugly silence. I could hear the man's footsteps, heavy and uneven, moving through the rooms. He tore through the house. Drawers yanked open, cabinets slammed shut. The sound of glass shattering somewhere in the kitchen. I could hear him muttering to himself, frustrated, maybe angry. Then I heard the little chime my phone makes when it powers down. I'd left it on the kitchen table. Now it was gone, just like that. I felt like I'd handed him a piece of myself. He kept moving, upstairs, then back down, never staying long in one place. I heard books thud to the floor, the clatter of plates, the scrape of furniture. Every sound was like a countdown. Then he tried the bathroom door. The handle rattled. My brother gripped the metal rod, ready to swing if it came to that. I could barely breathe.
Who's in there?
He kicked the door, hard. My brother didn't say a word. Another kick, then another. I thought I might pass out from the heat and the fear. Then, suddenly, the sound of the front door opening again. Silence. No more footsteps. No more voices. Just the whine of the bathroom fan and my own breathing. We waited 10 minutes, maybe more. I counted the seconds, afraid to move, afraid to speak. My brother pressed his ear to the door, listening for anything at all. When we finally stepped out, the house didn't feel like ours. Books and papers were scattered everywhere. The kitchen was a mess of broken cups and plates. Every drawer, Every cabinet had been opened and emptied. My brother called our mom. She told us to leave right away, to go straight to our aunt's. We didn't argue. We just left, not even bothering to lock what was left of the door. Walking to my aunt's, the sun felt too bright, like it was shining on someone else's life. When we arrived, she was waiting with ice cream, her smile a little too wide, her eyes worried. I ate the ice cream, but the taste barely registered. I just sat there, listening to my aunt talk about nothing, letting the normalcy wash over me until my hands stopped shaking. We went home around 5. My mom had left work early. She'd cleaned up most of the mess before we arrived. She wanted everything to look normal, like nothing had happened. The police didn't show up until 3 in the afternoon, 4 hours after the break-in. My mom explained everything, but they just nodded, took a few notes, and left. No one was ever caught. For the next few days, my mom stayed home with us. She tried to act like nothing was different, but I could tell she was just as shaken as we were. Now, years later, I tell the story like it's a joke, just a weird thing that happened when I was a kid. But back then, it felt like the world had cracked open and let something ugly crawl inside. I was lucky. Nothing worse happened. But every time I hear a knock now, I remember that hand on the glass and how close fear can get before you even realize it's there.
Our house always felt too big when it was just the 3 of us. My brothers and sister had all gone off to college or boarding school, so it was only my parents and me rattling around inside those echoing walls. I've always been a terrible sleeper. The tiniest noise could snap me awake. That night, I woke up in the dark, and the first thing I saw was my alarm clock flashing. 3:11 a.m., bright red numbers blinking like a warning. I wasn't groggy or half asleep. I was just awake. Like something had pulled me straight out of a dream, but I couldn't remember what. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out what had woken me. Then I heard it. Soft footsteps on the stairs right outside my room. Not fast, not heavy. Just careful. My bedroom door was to my left, parallel with the bed. I was lying on my side, back to the door, blanket pulled up to my chin. I told myself it was probably my mom or dad, maybe checking on me. The footsteps stopped right outside my door. I heard the doorknob turn, so slowly. I still thought it was just one of my parents not wanting to wake me. But our door always creaked, no matter how gently you opened it. This time, it groaned, and then, like whoever was there got impatient, the door was pushed open the rest of the way, quick and hard, to silence the noise. I was still convinced it was my mom or dad, until I heard the click of a flashlight and a harsh white beam landed right on my back. Every muscle in my body locked up. I started sweating instantly. Whoever was behind me couldn't see my face, but my eyes were wide open, staring into the dark. I always thought if something like this ever happened, I'd do something, scream, fight, run. But all I could do was try to keep my breathing steady, even though my heart was thumping so hard it hurt. After what felt like forever, the light slid off me. I kept my eyes squeezed shut, barely daring to breathe. The intruder moved around my room, shining the flashlight on my dresser, my desk, my shelves. I could see their shape in the shadows, big, bulky, like they were wearing layers of clothes. A baseball cap sat low on their head. I started begging, in my head, for anything to make them leave. I promised things to the ceiling, to the dark, to whatever might be listening. The intruder never shined the light on me again. They just kept walking, slow and methodical. After a few minutes that felt like entire days, the intruder left my room. I heard them moving through the hall, opening doors, checking the empty bedrooms where my siblings used to sleep. I couldn't move. I wanted to grab my phone, call my dad, or even the police. I wanted to run downstairs or just scream, but I was afraid the intruder would hear me. I kept picturing them coming back, this time with something worse in their hands. I don't know how, but at some point, I must have passed out from fear. Or maybe the adrenaline just ran out and I crashed. The next thing I remember is sunlight leaking through the blinds and voices downstairs. I ran downstairs. My parents were in the kitchen making coffee and talking quietly. I tried to sound calm when I asked if either of them had come into my room last night. They both looked at me, confused. My mom said no, she hadn't. My dad shook his head too. Their faces went blank like they realized something was off. That's when I broke. I started crying, harder than I ever had. I told them as best I could that someone had been in my room while I was sleeping. My parents called the police, even though I think we all knew it was too late to do much. We walked through the house together, quiet and shaken. All the doors leading outside were standing wide open. The morning air was cold and sharp, and it felt like the house was trying to breathe out whatever had been inside. At the bottom of the stairs, we found a duffel bag. Inside was a coil of nylon rope and an empty USB flash drive. Nothing else. Nothing had been stolen. We checked every room, every drawer. There was no sign of a break-in, no broken glass, just the doors left open and that bag. For a week, I couldn't sleep in my own room. It felt wrong, like the walls remembered. I started carrying pepper spray and I kept a machete next to my bed. Every night, I double-checked the locks, sometimes 3 or 4 times. It's been 10 years. But my most common nightmare is still the same. Someone standing in the shadows of my room, watching me breathe, waiting for me to notice. I still check the locks, just in case. And every time the house creaks at night, I hold my breath and listen, hoping it's only the wind.